it is time to tackle the headline, and it has been a massive news day with the retirements of Dustin Martin and the great Tommy Hawkins. Loz, how does it work out that these two can happen? What was it, within a couple of hours of each other? Everything in the AFL, so stage managed, so planned, and then we have two of these superstars bowing out so soon at the same time. How do we do this?
Well, it goes to show, guys, never in a newsroom do you utter the words, gee, there's not much happening today.
Yes.
Because then you end up with a day like today. So here's how it played out. 10:15 a.m, Richmond sent their press release. I just about choked on my Wheaties. I'm sure you guys were a little bit the same, that Dustin Martin was going to be retiring. Exactly 30 minutes later, 10:45 a.m, the email comes from Geelong. Tom Hawkins is going to be retiring.
Yep.
Brendan Gale will be available at Punt Road for Richmond, 12:30. Tom Hawkins and Chris Scott will be available at Geelong, 12:45. Macca, is the left hand not talking to the right hand, or does this just happen?
It is funny. I can tell you that the AFL comms teams have actually got a WhatsApp group where they deal with each other. They share things.
Got this coming up.
If we've got a big one here, we've got to make sure that this one gets it to the right space.
Give us Wednesday.
Give us Wednesday. Then you can have Tuesday or Thursday. This absolutely happens. This happens many times a week. Didn't happen today.
Oh, but how could it?
So with the situation with today, I understand a few clubs had a few things on and they were like, why didn't we hear about that? You can sort of understand Richmond. I can definitely understand Richmond, and also with Geelong as well to a degree, that Richmond didn't want this to get out. Like even though we were talking about Dustin Martin potentially retiring, they didn't want this to get out.
So they didn't tell anyone.
So exactly. So they basically didn't put anything in the WhatsApp group. Then bang, it all happens. And we had some interesting feedback from some clubs.
I think even the Cats didn't know. Like they
didn't. No.
They were planning
100%.
the Tom Hawkins thing, and all of a sudden that pops up in the email without any notice whatsoever. So even Geelong and Tom Hawkins were blindsided by the Dusty Martin. That's how secret he likes to keep it. But should we have heard from him today? Like at his 300th game, he spoke so well with Jack Grewald, Fox Footy cameras after the match. Would it have been good to have Dustin Martin there, not Brendan Gale? We just would have celebrated him, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty big on this, and I know no one barracks for us, of course, in the media, but I think it never has sort of been more stark and juxtaposed than it was today. I mean, as I mentioned before, we had Brendan Gale speaking on behalf of Dustin Martin at Punt Road and spoke beautifully, as Brendan does. At Geelong, we had Tom, we had his kids, we had his wife Emma, we had his dad had come down from Finley for the occasion as well. So I just think in these situations, as you say, we're going to be celebrating Dusty. Obviously, he's posted on Instagram and he's got quotes in the press release and all the rest of it. That's great. But it's 15 minutes or 20 minutes with just a few questions thrown in, hearing it from the person themselves, thanking junior coaches and speaking about their favourite moments throughout their career. I think it just adds a little bit of heart. And it's on the way out too. So you just do this one time and then that's it.
You can never pack have to do it again.
And go to Vegas if you want to.
The difference is Tommy Hawkins very impressive in the media and Fox Footy appearances. We love hearing from him, whereas Dustin Martin's going straight to the Maldives. So where is he going to party? Where's he going to holiday, Dusty? We were talking about this, Loz.
He's paid well.
Is he a Vegas man? Is he going to Europe? Is he going to the Maldives? Where's he going to live large?
Well, he's got a great record, doesn't he? I mean, he was in New Zealand a few weeks ago visiting family, so I think it's safe to say that one of his first stops will be there. He's done the Maldives previously with Serena Williams, no less, on Instagram, and we know he's done the big Vegas trips in the past with Dane Swan. So
it's going to be big.
I think it's safe to say maybe the car won't be under the MCG this time, but he'll do it well no matter what.
Stay there for 6 months if it is. Macca, what sort are we getting a statue? Where do we put the statue? At the front of the MCG, Punt Road. Punt Road's undergoing a redevelopment.
It is. It's the right time.
Is it? What about one of the new stands or something?
Would be They've got to do something. They've got to do something huge. I would have a statue. I'd have a Don't Argue statue. I think that'd be good. But I think what I would do now is there's three legends, forthcoming legends for me in the Australian Football Hall of Fame. There's Buddy, there's Gary Ablett Jr. And there's Dustin Martin. I reckon we need to. We haven't had a statue in the Avenue of Champions or the Avenue of Legends at the MCG since KB in 2017. So we haven't that. So we need these guys, those three guys, once they become legends of the Hall of Fame, they need statues in the middle of the MCG.
How do they choose between a Lance Franklin and a Dustin Martin and a Scott Pendlebury when he finally retires?
Well, there you go. Well, why wouldn't you have all three? We haven't done anything for 7 years. It's 7 years now.
I wonder if the personality, though, is that because he hasn't done any media, does that cost him in any way?
I think it does. I really don't think it does.
I think it's an easy way for people to interact with the figure that is Dusty. If you, as you say, if you create a Don't Argue,
that for the kids.
For social media, for people to be up there getting the don't argue.
It's a good idea.
It saves him probably having to reenact it in the street.
And he did his best work at the MCG. Like, you look at it, John Coleman's got a statue there, and John Coleman was an absolute legend, but he played 10 games at the MCG. Dusty's played 171, including 2 premierships.
I think there needs to be something special too at the new Punt Road. One Cat. What about another veteran, Mitch Duncan? So the Cats have got a big decision to make up on him. So Tom Hawkins retires. I think the whisper is that Mitchy Duncan might go on. He's still using the ball well. His body's still good, but maybe that's a line ball decision too. So we wait to see what Mitch Duncan does and how they manage some of these retirements. Right, that has been the first edition of Tackle the Headline. We're going to go at all the juicy subjects, of course, throughout the rest of the season. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week.